discussing today isomerism. Basically, this is one of the very important tool in organic chemistry. Why? Because not just of the fact that direct questions will be coming from this particular tool or particular chapter or particular article, but this particular tool, it is going to help us to understand the various aspect of organic chemistry, such as determining the different type of product or differentiating between major and minor products, because in chemical reactions various different type of products will be there, various different phenomena are going to happen, so number of different products might be there. So because of that fact, here we need to understand that how those products they can be differentiated. So here this tool, it is going to help us to understand those kind of aspects. Okay, so we are going to learn many things about this particular tool. Here I will start with the very basic definition or the meaning of isomerism. See, iso, it means same. Mer stands for unit, and this isomerism whole thing we say for the same molecular formula. Okay, so here this isomerism will be exhibited by different compounds which are having same molecular formula. Here I'd like to define what different isomers can have. Means two compounds, they are said to be isomers when we will write isomers, compounds which exhibit isomerism. Okay, so isomers, they have, we can write same molecular formula as the name indicate, same molecular formula. At the same time we can say same general formula also will be there, same general formula. So if they are having same molecular formula or same general formula, their empirical formula will also be same. So I can write same empirical formula, right? So along with this, if they are having same molecular formula, so their molecular mass will also be same. So we can write same molecular mass, right? That we can say. Now here, if they are having same molecular mass, which means their vapor density, it will also be same. So I can write same vapor density. That we can write, because vapor density, it depends upon molecular mass itself. So all these things are same, then what will be different? So I will write they will have different properties. I'm just writing here properties. Properties can be different as chemical properties or physical properties, they can be different. Okay, so here we are defining that all these things are same and only properties will be different. How that will happen? I'd like to take one example here. I would like to take one example. Say if I write a general formula as C2H6O, number of different compounds can have this formula. If I take, let's say here first C2H5OH, that is ethyl alcohol, right? I'll just write alcohol. At the same time, another compound can also have same formula, which I will write as CH3OCH3. That will be an ether. right? Now these two different compounds, they have same molecular formula, same general formula, same empirical formula, molecular masses are same, vapor density is same, but we are going to say their properties, they will be different, are different. Isn't that right? Their properties, they are different. So these two compounds, this ethyl alcohol and this ether, we can say these two are isomers to each other, isomers to each other. That we can write. Any confusion, any doubt? This kind of compounds, they are called as isomers to each other. Alcohol, it will have different chemical properties, ether will have different chemical properties, even if we look for physical properties as well. See, difference in boiling point and various other physical properties like density, etc., might be there, right? So these kind of compounds, they are called as isomers. So this is basic definition or basic differentiation, that how two different compounds can be said to be isomers to each other. Right now, I am going to define the exact definition of isomers. Now we can say those compounds, which have same molecular formula. This part, it will remain constant, same molecular formula, okay, but they differ, either in bonding pattern, or this is one of the differentiating factor, okay. This is one of the differentiating factor, means they are having same molecular formula but they differ either in bonding pattern, or we can say this is one of the differentiating factor, or if that pattern, is same, if the pattern is same, they differ in relative three-dimensional arrangement. I can also call it as spatial arrangement. Means there can be two differentiating factor. One is bonding pattern, means the structure itself is different. Second one, the three-dimensional arrangement of atoms. Okay, so basically here we are categorizing, or we are saying that there are two differentiating factors, so two broadly classified categories of isomers can be there, right? So these kind of compounds are known as isomers to each other. That we can say. This is the definition of isomers. I'll suggest you to remember this definition. Okay. Now, after defining isomers, I'll categorize isomers. See here, already we have taken the differentiating factor. We are saying they differ either in bonding pattern, either in bonding pattern, or so that will be one of the category, that how to differentiate isomers, or they differ in relative three dimensional arrangement, means how the atoms they are distributed around a particular center in 3D. So basically the spatial arrangement, right? So now let's categorize the different type of isomers. Okay, so here I start. Isomers, they can be broadly classified into two categories, which I will write as, first one, structural isomers, or I'll also call it as constitutional isomers. Okay, or I will call it as constitutional isomers. Second type I will write here as stereo isomers, structural and stereoisomers. Now in structural we have already said that bonding pattern will be different. That was one of the differentiating factor, right? So here I write bonding pattern changes. Okay, so here I will like to define various type of different structural isomers. So number of different types of structural isomers are, first one, chain isomers. I will also call it as nuclear isomer. Okay, chain. Then second, position. Third one, functional. Fourth one, metamers. Fifth one, tautomers. And then one special case is there, even though that is same as that of these chain or position isomers, but I'll write this special isomer as ring chain isomerism. Okay, now moving on towards this stereo isomerism. For stereo isomerism we will say there will be no change in bonding pattern, no change in bonding pattern, because that we have already discussed in case of structural, right? So only spatial arrangement, or simply three-dimensional arrangement will change. Arrangement change, right? So again, stereoisomerism is also categorized into two different categories. This is also categorized into two different categories. First one, conformational. Second one, configurational. Conformational and configurational. Now conformational isomers, two compounds where bonding pattern is also same, everything is same, like molecular masses are same, but if the 3D, means the three dimension, it changes with the help of rotation of sigma bond. Now see, regarding sigma bond and pi bond, as we have already discussed, that if two atoms they are connected to each other through a single bond, then there will be this degree of freedom will be there, that bond or those atoms they can rotate along that sigma bond. But if they are like if I'll take one example here, like two atoms, if they are connected through this sigma bond only, let's say this px overlap is there, so this relative rotation is possible. But if two bonds if they are attached to each other through this lateral overlap also, in that case there will be this restriction, in rotation will be there, means this rotation is not possible. That's what we are saying. Is that clear? So in this second case, that 3D it cannot change through rotation. Clear? So I'll just start with this definition of conformational isomers, and then we will move on. So conformational, we can say, if 3D changes via rotation of sigma bond, pi bond rotation will not be there, will never be there. Okay, now here this configurational I will take, let's say we take configurational isomerism. So here we can say, if 3D, three-dimensional arrangement changes via breaking and reforming of bonds on same atoms, either it can be a pi bond which will break and reform, then only this 3D can change, means at a room temperature spontaneous interconversion between two different forms is not possible, means that 3D it won't change. Okay, so here again we categorize this configurational isomerism into two different categories. First one is geometrical isomerism, and second one is optical isomerism. Okay, now this is categorization of isomerism. Now I will start with this structural isomers. Okay, our matter of concern for this class, it will be structural isomerism. Then we will move on towards stereo. In stereo also conformational, and then configurational. So I suppose this part of differentiating different isomers is clear to everyone. Okay, so let's take this structural isomerism. I start with the definition of structural isomerism, and then the categorization part we will understand how to differentiate different structural isomers. Okay, structural isomers, as we have already defined that the definition, it will start with that same molecular formula, right? And also we have defined that structural isomers, they are called as constitutional isomers. Okay, so here we can write those compounds which have same molecular formula but different structure. Now different structure that may be due to bonding pattern, that may be due to different position of functional group, that may be because of different positions of unsaturation, like that. So the part where we have gone through writing the IUPAC nomenclature, there we understand different terms are there: primary prefix, secondary prefix, primary suffix, secondary suffix, like, right? So if their positions they are changing, or the functional isomers, or simply the functional group itself is changing without changing the molecular formula, means that overall structure itself will change, right? So if it is changing, then those kind of compounds, they can be said to be structural isomers to each other. Here you have to pay attention that I have said that writing that IUPAC name, different terms, if one of them are changed without changing the molecular formula, those compounds, they will become isomers to each other, which means that whenever two substances or two molecules, they are structural isomers to each other, their IUPAC name itself will be different. That part I will write at the very end. So here let's complete this definition first. due to due to change in bonding pattern, that we have already defined that this is one of the differentiating factor, are called as structural or constitutional isomers to each other. Okay, now here one very important thing we have to write. If two compounds or molecules have, or we can write, are structural isomer to each other, if these two are structural isomers to each other, then both will have different IUPAC name. This is very important, you have to remember. Means if two compounds are given and you are unable to differentiate between those two compounds, whether they are structural isomers to each other or not, just try to write their IUPAC name, which you can do very easily, I guess, right? So by writing their IUPAC name, you can conclude that if they have different IUPAC name and having same molecular formula, then those two can be said to be structural isomers to each other. Okay, now there are different types of structural isomers are there. I will start with the first one, which is chain isomers. Okay, so let's say first one I write chain isomers or nuclear isomers. We also call them nuclear isomers, means number of atoms themselves will change, right? So here we can say again, compounds having same molecular formula, compounds having same molecular formula, but here as we are writing chain isomer, but if they have different root word, we can write here have same molecular formula but different different length of parent chain are called as are called as chain isomers to each other. Now see, definition we can provide, but most of the time, particularly in chemistry, uh, the definition part, it cannot explain everything to us until and unless we go through various different examples. So here I would like to take different examples of chain isomers, with the help of which we will try to understand that what kind of species they can be called as chain isomers to each other. Okay, so here I'll take different examples. Here examples we can write. This is one of the compound. Okay, then another compound if I take here as let's say this one I take. Okay, these two compounds I have taken. See here, if I try to figure out the parent chain, see this part, it is very important guys. For in order to understand this, I'll suggest you go through IUPAC nomenclature once again. That is the very important tool to understand this particular part. See, because here many of you, let's say I start with the first one, many of you might go through the parent chain to be this one. Many of you, that will be wrong. That is the mistake which you are supposed to do. So here if I have to look for the parent chain 1 2 3 4, so 1 2 3 4, that's how I can do the numbering, correct? While here if I have to find out the parent chain 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5, that's how I can do the numbering, correct? So IUPAC name, it will be coming out to different, they have same molecular formula but different length of chain. So compound 1 and compound 2, they are said to be chain isomers to each other. Let's take one more compound here. Let's say I take this one. Now again the parent chain, if I have to define here 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? Parent chain is coming out to be different. Here 4 carbon parent chain was there, here 5 carbon parent chain was there, here 6 carbon parent chain is there. Is that correct? So these three, I can call these three to be chain isomers to each other. Is that clear? I don't think there will be any doubt. Let's take one more example. Let's say 1 2 3 4, and many of you might confuse here that sir, the position of double bond is changing, so that they should be position isomers rather than chain isomers. Let's talk about that again. So if I have to figure out the parent chain, length of parent chain in the first compound, let's say 1 2 3 4, that will be 4 carbon parent chain. Now for the second one, 1 2 3 4 5, 5 carbon parent chain. So these two, instead of being chain isomers, these two instead of being position isomer, they will be called as chain isomers. Again, IUPAC nomenclature, it will play an important role here. Next example, make star mark on the next example. I take C, 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 here I write CN, again C, 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 here I write CN. If again I have to figure out the parent chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 carbon parent chain, because nitrile or cyanide group, that is a chain terminating group, correct? So this carbon, it will be part of the chain, 4 carbon, while here 1, 2, 3, 3 carbon parent chain. So never write it as position isomer. This will also be considered as chain isomers. Is that clear? Any confusion, any doubt? Clear hai? Now I'll give various other examples, so that with the help of which you can do the same. I'll give you question, try to solve them, and try to figure out whether chain isomerism will be there or not. Okay, question number, let's say I start with question number 1. P, Q, R. Let's say PQR, these three are there. You have to figure out whether these three are chain isomers or not. Second one, C bond, C bond, C, COOH, C bond, C bond, C, COOH. Okay, you have to figure out these two are chain isomers or not. Okay, then third one, CCC, CHO, CCC, CHO. Okay, fourth one, CCC, OH, CCC, OH. You have to figure out out of these 4 questions the pairs which are chain isomers to each other. That will be your homework. Okay, now next part I'd like to take here. I'll try to suggest you that never do branching on terminal carbon atoms. Okay, because if you are doing branching on terminal carbon atom, automatically they will become the next, they will form the next terminal carbon atom. Okay, so here if I take alkanes here, see, for methane, ethane and propane, there will be no chain isomerism. So the chain isomerism in alkanes, it will start with butane. Let's say I start with the first one, butane. Alkane, we know the general formula, that will be CnH2n plus 2, right? So C4H10 I can write. So 2 chain isomers I can find out. You can figure out that if whether there will be any other chain isomers or not. So I can write, this is N-butane. Okay, and this you can write it as isobutane, but if I want to write its IUPAC name, I will write it as 2-methyl propane, right? So IUPAC name, it will be coming out to be different. Here 2 structural isomers are possible for butane. Is that clear? Similarly, we can do the same for pentane also, correct? Let's say I start with butane, second let's take pentane here, C5H12, right? So number of different isomers I will try to write. See, first one, this is N-pentane. Second one, if I take see, I'm just trying to write chain isomers, okay, not the position ones. So here I can write it as isopentane, or I can just write 2-methyl butane. Last one here, if I write this one, it will be coming out to be neopentane. Okay, similarly you can find out for hexane also, right? Now let's say I'll give you one or two questions here. Question number 3, let's say I write these two whether they are chain isomers or not. Question number 4, whether these two are chain isomers or not. Whether these two are chain isomers or not, that you are going to figure out. That will be your homework. Okay, I will just try to draw it properly. Okay, now this is about chain isomers. Next one, I'll take position isomers. Next one, as the name indicates itself, see, the compounds having, I'll just write that basic part, compounds having same molecular formula but if position is changing, position of what, like functional group, substituent, unsaturation, means primary suffix, primary prefix, secondary prefix, if these things they are changing, then if their position, if they are changing, then those two compounds, they will be said to be position isomers to each other. So here we are going to write compounds having same molecular formula but difference, let's say, but difference in position of what, position of, I can write multiple bond, position of multiple bond or bonds, you can write functional group, functional group, functional group, side chain, or you can write the substituent here, side chain or substituents, means if any of these things, that position, if it is changing in a given length of parent chain, then those compounds they are called as, then the given compounds are known as position isomer to each other. That we can write. Okay, I'll start with some examples. Before that, I would like to take one very important point and just try to remember this particular point. We say if chain isomerism is present, means if chain isomerism is present, if two compounds they are said to be chain isomers to each other, they will never be position isomers to each other present, then position isomerism will never be exhibited by given compounds. Okay, means we can write that is chain isomerism and position isomerism cannot exist simultaneously. Is that clear? Any confusion, any doubt? So this is definition. Again, I am telling you with definition, this picture cannot be clear. So I'd like to take some examples here. So let's take few examples. Let's say I start with example number 1. We can write the name of these two compounds, but1ene and but2ene. Right? IUPAC name are coming out to be different. Parent length or parent chain, its length is same, 4 carbon in each compound, but the position of unsaturation, position of double bond, that is changing. So these two compounds, they are said to be position isomer to each other. That I can write. Second one, let's take this again, Cl, correct. So parent chain, if I have to observe 1 2 3 4 carbon here, 1 2 3 4. If I want to write the name of these compound, first one I will write as 2-chlorobutane. Second one, if I have to write, that will be 1-chlorobutane. Again, these two are structural isomers to each other. What kind of structural isomers? Where molecular formula is same, but the position of chlorine atom, it is changing. Bond pattern, it is changing itself. So these two, they will also be called as what? Position isomers to each other, correct. Next, if I make one star mark on this one, this is very important, and here one more important concept of IUPAC it will be used, which is let's say if I write this one, and if I write this one, see first one, if I have to look for the parent chain, see alkoxy group, alkyl group, they are substituent. I'll just say the names again: nitro, halo, alkyl, or this alkoxy. They are always used as substituent. They are not used as functional group. Okay, so here the name, if you have to write, you will write it as methoxy. That will be used as the substituent. Okay, the parent chain, if I have to write, I will write it as 1 2 3. Okay, number of carbon atom, 3 carbon will be there, correct? So that will be the parent chain. Now here in the second one, if I have to write the parent chain, 1 2 3, again length of parent chain is same, so these two, they cannot be chain isomers to each other, correct? But position of this methoxy group, position of this methoxy group or methyl group, that you can define. Methyl group, it is coming on 1 2 3 on second carbon always. Here also 1 2 3, it is again methyl group, it is coming on second carbon. But methoxy group, in first one it is coming on second carbon, while on the second compound it is coming on first carbon. So these two compound, they will set to be position isomers to each other. Clear? Next example, if I take fourth one, let's say this, and if I take let's say I take this, number of carbon is coming out to be same, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. Okay, so numbering, if I have to do the numbering, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, numbering again, if I have to do 1 2 3, I can write the numbering. So this methoxy group, it is again changing the position. For the first compound, it is coming on first position, while in the second compound it is coming on second position. So again I will call it as position isomer. Is that clear? Any confusion, any doubt? Correct. Similarly, let's take one more, which I have already taken. Let's say CN, C, C, Cn. Now these two, will they be position isomer? You can say, sir, Cn, it is coming on first carbon, here Cn is coming on second carbon. But I will suggest that Cn or COH or CHO or keto, these are chain terminating groups, right? So positioning or the numbering, it will start as 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, numbering 1 2 3, 1 2 3, if I write. So here the chain itself is changing. So these two, they are not chain isomers, but I will write these two are chain isomers, right? Not position, sorry, not position isomer. Never write these two as position isomers. Is that clear? Make this thing clear in your mind. Okay, I'll give you a few questions which you can try, so that we can move on towards the next isomerism. Okay, so here let's write a few questions here. Before writing important questions, I would like to write one more important point here. Let's write here itself. Alcohols and phenols are two different functional groups. Okay, these two are two different functional groups. Never consider them as same functional groups. Okay, so that is very important thing we should remember, even though in IUPAC we have already gone through this particular part. So I'll give you a few questions now. Question number 1. You have to define what kind of isomerism is there. Okay, position or chain. Question number 1. Question number 2. Question number 2. Question number 3. You have to determine whether even anyone having any idea about geometrical isomers, they can also apply that concept here to figure out whether these two are geometrical isomers or not, the compounds which I am going to draw now. Okay, you have to determine what kind of isomers these two will be. Okay, sorry. Fourth one, CH2OH CH3OH. Okay, and next star mark here to determine what kind of isomers these two will be. Next one, fifth one, I can write ClC, Cl, ClC, Br, 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 and next one Cl, Br, Cl, C, C, Br, Br, Cl. Okay, next this is fifth one. Next, let's say right, question number 6, CH3 bond C double bond C H H C2H5, then CH3 bond C double bond C bond H bond C2H5 and H. Here I can write C2H5. You have to figure out whether these two are position isomers or not. Okay, or what kind of isomers these two will be. 7th, Cl, Br, let's say write it as P. Okay, then Br, here I write Cl, let's say I write it as Q. Next one, Cl, Br, let's say I write it as R. So you have to determine relationship between P and Q. What kind of relationship it will be? Will be there, P and R and Q and R. What kind of relationship will be there? Okay, now let's talk about alkanes, alkenes and alkynes. This part again it will be quite important. So here let's say I start with the alkanes. I'll make one star mark and write minimum 6 carbon are required, minimum 6 carbons are required for alkanes to show position isomerism. Try to remember this one. Okay, try to remember this particular part. I can write examples such as let's say this. Now if I take parent chain to be same, these two, they are position isomers, correct? A and B, these two are position isomers to each other, right? Similarly, if I try to write 1 2 3 1 2 3 4, C and D, they are again position isomers to each other, isn't that right? Now what we can write for alkene and alkyne? Now let's talk about alkene and alkyne. I can write minimum 4 carbon, because in alkanes there was no saturation, while in alkene and alkyne saturation will be there, so we can change position of saturation itself. So I can write minimum 4 carbon are required for alkenes to show position isomerism. So I can write C4H8, that will be an example. I can write them as 4 carbon 1 2, these two are position isomers to each other. Similarly, I could even write this compound, let's say I write it as P Q and R. So we can write P and Q, they are position isomers to each other, right? P and R, that I can write chain isomers to each other, P and R, correct? Position is not changing, chain itself is changing. So if chain is changing, position cannot exist. So Q and R, Q and R also I can write as chain isomers to each other, correct? Similarly for alkyne, if I have to write minimum 4 carbon required for alkynes to show position isomers, okay? Which I can write as C4 CnH2n minus 2, so C4H6, which we can write as 1 2 3 4, right? And also we can write as so number of carbons, if I have to write 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, okay? So that will be the number of position isomers, or that will be the type of position isomers which can be formed from 4 carbons, okay, for alkynes. Now number of different questions we can solve on position isomers. You can find those different type of problems, try to solve those different type of problems. We will start discussing functional isomers from next lecture, okay? We will continue from functional isomers, okay? Thank you so much.